Hello students, welcome to this second module of GST 2020 series. I hope you have started your revision and enjoying this new experience of online learning. Today we will cover section 7 and the 3 schedules of the CGST Act which give the core essence of GST. For any tax, there has to be the scope and applicability defined by the Act, which is done by this section 7 and the 3 schedules of the CGST Act. These define the activities on which GST is chargeable and the activities on which GST is not chargeable. Technically, this is called taxable event. In the earlier law, tax was required to be paid on either manufacturing activity or selling activity. But in GST, they come up with a completely new terminology. They've extended the scope of GST and now GST is to be paid on supply. Now, what is this supply? Which activities constitute a taxable event? Who is required to be paying GST? All these questions will be answered in today's module. What constitutes supply? The Act specifically mentions certain activities which is supply. The definition of supply starts like: supply includes all forms of supply of goods or services or both. This definition is called inclusive definition. That is, apart from specifically mentioning the activities which form part of this definition, something which is similar will also be included in this definition. This is one master stroke of GST. By giving an inclusive definition, the tax authorities have an upper hand wherein they can now analyze the transaction and see if it is coming within the scope of GST and levy the tax. The Act further defines certain specific transactions as supply. Let's look into them. Sale, transfer or disposal. That is, something belonging to one person is given to the another person. Next being barter or exchange. That is, something belonging to one person is given in exchange of something belonging to another person. License, rental or lease. That is, the ownership remains with one person but the right to use is given to another person. Apart from this, there are more activities mentioned in Schedule 1 and Schedule 2 of CGST Act which we will cover later. On what is GST levied? As given in the definition, GST is to be levied on supply of goods and services. So now we will go further and try to understand the meaning of goods. Goods has been defined as goods includes movable property, actionable claim and crops. Anything which is movable will generally form part of goods. Actionable claim means any financial transaction which creates a debt to the other and somebody can claim it. Crops or anything part of the land like a grass which needs to be severed from the land before rendering to the market is also part of goods. Goods specifically does not include money, that is the cash, the coins, and securities which is the shares and bonds. Next is the definition of services. It is slightly complicated, so I request you to pay little more attention on this. Now, they have said that services includes use of money, conversion of money and transaction in security. That is, if you have cash and you are using that cash to get any services, then it is part of services. Similarly, the activity of conversion of cash from one currency like from rupees to dollars, that will constitute services. Next comes if there is any activity involving securities like issue of securities, conversion of securities, redemption of securities, then all those activities will constitute services. Services does not include goods, money and securities. So anything that is goods will not be services. Money, that is the currency notes and coins, they are not services. As discussed, use of money is services. Similarly, securities like shares or bonds, they are not services, but activities involving securities, services. What conditions should be satisfied for an activity to be taxable in GST? Well, we do a lot of activities every day. Are they all taxable in GST? Well, the answer is no. For an activity to be taxable in GST, two vital conditions should be satisfied. The first being, there has to be a consideration. The term consideration has been defined as consideration includes making a payment either in cash or otherwise, the monetary value of any act or forbearance. Forbearance means something which is not done because it has to be part of a transaction. And finally, if there are deposits and the amount of the deposit is adjusted against any payment of consideration, then that also will be included as consideration. Consideration does not include any subsidy given by the central government or state government. Now the second condition for a transaction to become taxable in GST is that activity should be for furtherance of business. Now what do you mean by furtherance of business? Any activity which forms part of a long-term part of a business. Only those are taxable in GST. Business has been defined as a wide range of activities including trade, commerce, manufacturing or a profession, vocation, adventure, wager or similar activities, or any other activities which is incidental or ancillary to all these activities that we discussed. However, there is an exception. There are transactions where even without consideration, they will be forming part of supply. This will be explained by Professor Jeevan in the animation that will follow. However, there is an exception to an activity to be forming part of business, which is import of services for personal consumption. Even if it is not for a business activity, it will still form part of supply. On whom is GST levied? There are different type of entities and GST covers almost all the different entities, whether you are an individual, HUF, partnership firm, association of person, AOP, or body of individuals, BOI. You are a corporate, whether registered in India or abroad, non-profit organization like a trust, society, cooperative societies, governments, whether central government, state government, local government, or any other artificial judicial person, if they are doing any activity which constitutes a supply, as we have discussed in this module, they have to pay GST tax.
Last time T2 was smart and I had to leave, but this time I will not let him study. Ha 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 ha.
God, please help me in passing the exam.
Why do you always fear for your exam?
I was studying the basics of GST. Even the definition of supply is difficult. I am not clear on supply without consideration.
Have you subscribed to the File 999 channel?
Supply under GST. There is generally a need for a consideration to be present to qualify an activity as a supply. However, there are some exceptions to it. As per Schedule 1 of the CGST Act, there are certain activities to be treated as supply even if made without consideration. First instance, permanent transfer or disposal of business assets where input tax credit has been availed on such business assets. To qualify for supply as per this provision, 3 conditions should be satisfied. Condition A, there has to be a transfer of business asset. Please note, the term business asset is not specifically defined in GST law. Condition B, the transfer or disposal has to be a permanent nature. And last, condition number C, ITC must be availed on such business asset. Let's take a case study. Virat gives his 2 bats to children free of cost. Is this supply under GST? Answer. If Virat had considered the 2 bats as business asset and claimed ITC on them, then at the time of giving the gift, it will be treated as supply, even though there is no consideration when the bats are given gift to children. However, if the 2 bats in question were not business asset or ITC was not claimed on them, then at the time of giving gift, it will not be treated as supply. Point number 2, supply of goods or services are both between related person or between distinct person as specified in section 25 when made in course of furtherance of business, provided that gifts not exceeding 50,000 rupees in value in a financial year by an employer to an employee shall not be treated as supply of goods or services of both. Related party is defined in detail in section 15 of the CGST Act. A Limited has factory in Chennai and sales depot in Bengaluru. Goods worth rupees 10 lakhs are transported from Chennai to Bengaluru. Is this a supply in GST? In GST, every assessee has to obtain a separate GST registration in each state they make a supply from. In this case, A Limited should have 2 GST numbers, one in Tamil Nadu state and another in Karnataka state. This is the case of supply between distinct persons as mentioned in section 25 and hence it is a supply. So, stock transfers or branch transfers wherein transactions are between 2 different GST entities is considered as a supply under GST. Z Limited has given Diwali sweets and uniform to all its staff. The cost of such items to Z Limited are rupees 25,000. Is this a supply under GST? As per section 15, employee and an employer are related party. Hence, any gifts given by an employer to an employee is to be treated as a supply, even if it is without any consideration. However, the proviso specifically mentions that gifts with monetary value less than 50,000 are exempt under GST and hence it is not a supply. However, had the total value of these gifts was above rupees 50,000, then it would have been a supply. Please note, this limit of 50,000 is per employee per financial year basis.
If there was some good example, it would help me understand better.
Yes, we do have. Here you go.
Supply of goods by a principal to his agent, where the agent undertakes the supply of such goods on behalf of the principal, or by an agent to his principal, where the agent undertakes to receive such goods on behalf of the principal. That is, where an agent receives goods directly from the principal, or if the principal's vendor directly dispatches goods to the location of the agent, then the principal shall be required to treat the movement as an outward supply of goods by virtue of this clause. If understood in its proper perspective, when an agent receives goods on behalf of the principal and thereafter issues the goods to the principal, the transaction will be recorded as a supply by the agent to the principal. Please note, this provision is only for supply of goods and not for supply of services. Import of services by a person from a related person or from any of his other establishment outside India in the course of furtherance of business. For example, A Limited of India has received management consultancy services from its parent company X Limited, which is based out of USA, but there is no consideration. This is a case of supply. As per Schedule 1, even though no consideration is payable between A Limited to X Limited, as they are related person, it will be a supply.
Thank God, this was easy to learn. Now I can remember these examples and write well in exam.
Oh no, he too is learning easily and he will pass the exam. I will have to come up with a better idea next time.
Hello students, I hope now you are clear with the definition of supply and Schedule 1, those activities which are considered as supply even though it is done without consideration. Now we look into Schedule 2 of CGST Act, where they have given some specific examples of instances where an activity would be either supply of goods or supply of services. The first point is on transfer. As we have seen in the definition of supply, transfer is included as part of supply. So here there are given three more instances where a transfer will be a supply. The first being transfer in title of goods. This is a very common instance. I go to a shop to buy a product. They give me the product as well as the ownership of the product or the title of the product is passed on to me. So that means it is supply of goods. So giving an item with ownership is supply of goods. Second instance is where there is a supply of goods but the ownership is not passed. Only the right to use in the goods is passed. Say for example, I have a marriage at home. I want a tent. I hire a tent. I can use the tent for a specific period of time, but I am not the owner. That means this is supply of services. Third instance being where there is a transfer of goods with an understanding that right now I have the title of the goods, but the ultimate ownership will be passed in the future. Say for example, hire purchase transaction. So if I take a vehicle on hire purchase, the vehicle is in my name, but till I don't repay my financier, the ownership is not passed on to me. Those type of things are again supply of goods. So these three type of transfers are specifically mentioned in the Act to be as supply of goods or supply of services. Second is on land on building. Any lease, tenancy, easement, license of any commercial, industrial or residential property, either wholly or partly, is supply of services. The next is treatment or a process on someone else's goods. Very common practice in industry where goods are sent for any cutting, polishing, or in our day-to-day life, we do buy material and give to tailors for stitching. All this is supply of services. Point number 4 is on certain example where transfer of business assets is done either by way of permanent disposal or personal use or transfer after the GST number is cancelled or the business ceases to be in operation. We look into it one by one. If in a business there are business assets which are sent for disposal either with or without consideration, and if it is without consideration, the value has to be arrived as per the valuation rules that we'll see in the chapter value of supply. In all those cases, this is supply supply of goods. The next portion is if business assets are taken for any personal use with or without consideration. Say for example, office laptop is used by either the proprietor or partner or the director for their own personal use. Then such thing will be treated as supply of services by the enterprise to the concerned owner, partner or director. Finally, if business assets are transferred after the GST number is cancelled or the business ceases to be in operation, and if the assets are sold on a going concern basis to another taxable person, then it will be treated as supply of goods and GST will be applicable. Clause 5 gives 6 instances where activity will be treated as supply of services. First being any rental of immobile property would be treated as supply of services. Second, any construction activity, whether of a residential complex or any building or any civil structure, will be treated as supply of services. The only exception being if consideration is received after the completion certificate, it will not be taxable in GST. This is also specifically mentioned in the Schedule 3, which we'll cover later. The third being permitting anybody to use a trademark or a license or a copyright or any intellectual property would be supply of services. The fourth set of activities in relation to information technology. Any activity which is development, design, programming, upgradation, implementation of an information technology would be supply of services. Next being if there is an activity which makes somebody to do an act or restricts them not to do an act, that will also be supply of services. Finally, any activity wherein there is a right to use is given to somebody else or the title remains with somebody else of the goods, it will be supply of services. So these are the 6 instances where activity would be treated as supply of services. Next, we are going to talk about one very important aspect, which is composite supply. In construction industry, what we see is there is also a supply of goods or the material and the service or the construction activity which is done. Similarly, in restaurants, there is supply of the food as well as the service which is given to the customers. In the earlier act, both this construction industry and restaurants were subject to both VAT, which is for the goods, and service tax, which was for services. But this has been put in GST. Now this will be taxed as supply of services only. The final being if there is a supply from an unincorporated association or any body of persons to their own members, it will be treated as supply of services. With this, we come to the end of the Schedule 2. Now we'll take Schedule 3. Now we look into Schedule 3 of the CGST Act, where they've expressly mentioned those activities which will be not treated either as a supply of goods or supply of services. The first one being services rendered by an employee to an employer in the course of their employment. It will neither be treated as supply of goods or services and GST will not be applicable. Second is services rendered by a court or tribunal is not a supply of goods or services under GST and GST will not be applicable on them. Next, elected representatives, whether MPs, MLAs or any other panchayat members or any service rendered by a person who holds a post under Government of India or as a chairman of any board constituted under the Constitution of India will not be supply of goods or services. Number 4, services rendered by funeral directors, cremation ground will not be treated as supply of goods or services. Number 5 being sale of land. Any sale of land is not subject to any GST tax. Similarly, sale of building after obtaining the completion certificate will neither be supply of goods or supply of services and GST will not be applicable. Next being actionable claims. Any beneficial interest in a movable property that is not in a
possession, exception being lottery tickets, betting or gambling. In those cases, GST will not be applicable. The seventh clause talks about instances where goods move from one non-taxable territory to another non-taxable territory without entering India. In those cases, it will be treated as neither a supply of goods or supply of services, and GST will not be applicable. The eighth clause talks about high sea sales, that is, when goods have started from a foreign destination to come to India, but there is a transfer before it reaches the taxable territory of India, then such transfer will not be subject to any GST tax. So these are the 8 activities which are expressly mentioned in the third schedule of the CGST Act, which are neither supply of goods nor supply of services, and GST is not applicable. Friends, with this, we come to the end of the second chapter. We talked about the definition of supply and the 3 schedules of the CGST Act. In the next chapter, we'll cover section 8 as well as section 9, which is on reverse charge. So stay tuned. Thank you. Bye-bye.